Welcome everyone for joining us in this new Tech Captains podcast. So as usual, I have with me Gareth.
Hi, everybody.
Today we are glad to welcome Michael Nagel from Germany. So thank you, Michael, for joining us today.
Yes, hello, Ron. Hello, Gareth. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Hi.
How did you find studying and working at the same time during your degree? That must have been quite intense.
As you noticed, I didn't overdo it. So of course I scaled back a little bit with the studies. Took longer, and then it was. I think it was 2 days, so 16 hours a week of working and 3 days of studies, and it was an okay pace to go it, and I can recommend to do it. I don't know how easily possible it's nowadays with the bachelor's and master's programs, but with a diploma there were no hard time limits, and I would recommend it to work in the industry, get a feeling of how it will be if you don't go for academia, but go for a job in the industry. You can get a good impression and maybe adjust. For me, I didn't join the company where I did my Werkstudent. It's in Germany, working student job. They couldn't convince me to stay there, so I did a little adjustment there from my findings. But I think it's possible for others to adjust even more, or change something about their career plans. But for me, it was a quite straight line, and I would recommend it for others to do it that way as well.
That's interesting, but like before I go a bit deeper into the tech side and everything. Can you maybe just in 2-3 sentences explain what J&C Bachmann does? Like the website said, measurement technology for demanding applications and environments. What does that mean
That is
really?
true, what it says, and one of our prime products is an elemental analyzer for ash in coal. So there is mines and power plant operators that run through a lot of coal every day, and they are interested in the ash content of the coal that in the end also gives you an answer to how much energy is there in the coal if you burn it, what is the quality of the coal. And we have a lot of X-ray based devices at J&C Bachmann, and you can do what the doctors do, where you do X-ray transmission to get a visual image of the thing you're shining the X-ray through, and then there is another measurement principle that is called X-ray fluorescence (XRF), and that will give you information about the chemical elements in there. And so we are looking for elements like iron in the coal, and that indicates uh, very simplified the ash content of the coal. Um, you can measure many elements, especially metals are very easy to identify that way. So in copper mining is an important business for us. We have these 24/7 online in the measurement or process engineering language, so meaning running all the time, giving live systems, not the Google web online meaning. And we have that system, and then we have developed recently a borehole probe that uses much of the same technology, which is very interesting in exploration, but also in mining and especially blasting.
That's really Gareth. I believe you also had some questions doing your pre-research for the podcast.
Yeah, yeah, it was very interesting looking at your website. So do all of your systems feed into process control systems? All of your products feed into process control systems?
Like the older generation, which is the online monitoring, makes most or basically only makes sense if you feed it in a process control system. For the new borehole probe that you also can use in exploration, this will not be automatically run through a process control system, but some geologists will, for example, use it for resource modeling to decide how to where yeah the size of the operation or the whole setup of the mining site.
And are these SCADA systems that you feed into? Right, that's pretty typical, isn't it, in the industry? And so I have to ask you, just because I think for a lot of people in tech who aren't in your industry, the first we kind of heard of SCADA systems was when the Stuxnet attack happened a few years ago, right, on the um, nuclear program in Iran. So I'm just wondering, in the light of that, I mean, do you? And obviously, I'm not asking you to explain what you do in detail, but I mean, do you take special measures now to secure your applications in the light of things like that?
Mm, Simple answer would be no. So it's like security, remote access always is a question, like who gets to see the data? Are we as a provider of the devices, like we can benefit from some of the data for maintenance reasons. Are we allowed to see the data? Is remote access possible? How does that work? That is always a discussion yeah, during yeah, when we set up contracts and projects. But it wasn't like Stuxnet happened and after that everything changed. Like this became a whole new topic in all contracts, and we had to change product. And no, it's more of a general topic
Yeah,
that
yeah.
comes up
Well, I
during
think the thing
project
with
setup.
Stuxnet was it was an incredibly sophisticated attack. So it took advantage of some very weak controls on the user end of it, but I mean, it was amazingly sophisticated.
It's a fascinating story, but if I honestly compare it to my job, it's not like my daily business, but it still reads like a James Bond story to me. Like
It
there
does.
there are some
Yeah, definitely.
uh, there are some effects on how seriously the topic is taken, but it's not my daily business for sure. Also, like J&C Bachmann is a small company. We're at 25 people headcount. A lot of them in technical roles, which splits into software engineering, hardware engineering, which again is mechatronics, electronics, and then there is some physicists, geologists. Um, it's a small team, and we figure out novel ways to do the elemental analysis and help the customers to integrate it in their workflows. And we are not a big corporation with a big security department, but it's one of the things that is on our list.
And from the career you had, because obviously you started working quite early during your studies, and then you've had different roles like sysadmin, software engineer. Now you are CTO in a small company. So, what would you say are the biggest learning you've learned during your career?
One thing is the importance about interdisciplinary collaboration. So I was a full-on computer science programming kind of person, but at least in the industry that I'm in, it's all about figuring out how to combine it to something that is valuable to the customer. And as I said, we heavily are involved in combining software, mechatronics, mechanics, and electrical parts, and then even application. Like this was very strange for me in the beginning. There are some words that have different meaning in different industries. So application for me from computer science guy is this like Windows executable or Android app, um, but in the mining industry, the application is like measuring ash content or measuring copper content. So yeah, we have to integrate application knowledge also, and this business couldn't be run by software people only. So that is one of the big learnings, that this collaboration, and I would still say like these people are all engineers. It's not that that difficult of an integration, that it can go even more crazy with artists or people from the health industry or something. But I think there is great value in figuring out ways how these people can work together to good results. That is one of my big findings. And then the other one is uh, like some problems have to be tackled on a technological way, and some are more about people and business. And you can't say one way is wrong and one way is right. The nerds are always right, or the MBAs are always right. But you have to notice when you are fighting the wrong fight. Like if this is a problem that has to be solved on the business side, don't spend your energy on bringing up a better technological solution. It's that is true most of the time. Sometimes you can have a breakthrough, but that is rarely the thing really needed. And on the other side, some problems need a technical solution, and you can talk and have contracts or discussions and whatever, but this it's a hard technical problem, or a small one, but the technical solution needs to be there before talking is required again. And you need to be aware of what you need to do in every situation, and it will make it much easier to come to a good solution quickly.
Makes sense. And I have a last question for you. Maybe, guys, we have another one after. But could you please maybe tell us more about how the tech ecosystem in Germany? How do you find the tech ecosystem, like the industry as a whole? Because you're not in Berlin. We hear a lot about Berlin. So how is it in the rest of Germany?
That is an interesting question. I'm not in Berlin, where a lot of the startup tech activity is happening in Germany. I'm in the south of Germany, in Baden-Württemberg, which is known, for example, for Porsche, Mercedes, the established big yeah, automotive, Maschinenbau companies. And here, software engineers are in demand. So it's difficult for us as J&C Bachmann, as a small company, to make good hires, but it's also difficult for the bigger players that are present around here, because there's just such a high demand, and um, basically no unemployment in the tech sector here in the southern part of Germany.
Yeah.
It's not that much hype around it. But there are some established big technology companies, and then there is a lot of what we call Mittelstand, which are these German family-owned companies that are quite often market leaders around the world in a very specific topic, and typically family owned and run by people that really care for that one topic. And J&C Bachmann is a company like that. There are not that many other XRF measurement companies that cater for the mining industry. We are always looking for more market success. So if you're interested in having some borehole probes, please contact us. But there are a lot of companies like that, and taken all together, they really make are an important part of the local economy and the tech business for sure. The KIT as a university in Karlsruhe, or a joint venture of the university and the research institute. Um, I think it has a good standing, hopefully globally, but in Germany for sure. So there are some really good things happening
So interesting.
around
I mean,
here.
I had two more questions actually. So one, I mean, just leading on to what Ron was saying, and obviously talking about the tech startup scene in Berlin, but you're in a very different world, right? You're not the sort of Facebook move fast and break things. I mean, you definitely don't want to break things. You're putting devices that have to work 24/7, 365. I'm curious what, and I'm guessing you've got a lot of. I was amazed at how many products you have, but how typically do you handle, testing and updating these devices in the field? How do you do that to ensure
It,
reliability, obviously, and
that's
to
a
not
that's
interrupt stuff, obviously?
a major question for us, because reliability is very important to our customers, and testing is rather difficult for us, because many of the system only really shine when they are integrated into a full-size mining operation, which will be a small city. Like typically cities are built around mines. If you open a mine, a city will be formed around it. And even if we take only the most important parts for us, it's difficult for us to recreate the circumstances locally. So we do a lot of testing, which I would describe on the uh, um, on the small or very localized test, but the integration tests are, some of it can only happen at the customer side, because there is no mining in our office, not even in Germany, to some extent. You could say our customers are really global. We have many customers all over the world: South Africa, South America, Australia, Canada, all the big mining countries. Let's make an exception for China and Russia at this point. But customers are all over, and we can only bring our product so far in our offices and labs in Karlsruhe, uh, uh, and then making sure it works. We have experience from our existing customer base, um, so there is that. But then commissioning is like, we don't release 10 times a day like some web-based software as a service companies do, but this is running slower and needs to be more reliable. And the first thing, it mustn't mechanically break, like if some bulldozer driver is not so careful. Like, we can't protect against everything, but the dangers are quite different from what a software as a service company might be seeing.
And I guess my final question then is: so all the different devices, and I was reading them all, and they were just an extraordinary range of things that they do. What is your favorite device?
My favorite device is the Iberia borehole probe. It's our latest product. So I'm an engineer myself. I like to work on the new challenging thing. So this is Iberia, and we got funding in the Horizon 2020 program, which is a program that the European Union set up to grant money to for R&D. It's for big research centers, but there is a bucket that also goes to small and medium-sized enterprises like J&C Bachmann, and we originally applied there to shrink our technology that we had for the on-belt measurement, which is like fridge size or small car size, and shrink it into a borehole probe. A borehole probe is if you take if your arm was 2 meters long, then that diameter that that is where it has to fit in. And
Now, how big is the actual device then? So you said you had a fridge-sized device that you shrank down to fit in a borehole device then, basically?
yes,
So, oh,
exactly, and that was the technological challenge, and that is why we couldn't simply do it, but had to set up a development program that we needed funding for, and gladly we could convince the European Union that this is a worthwhile endeavor, and we can reasonably be expected to deliver upon it, and got the grant, so we could do the development. Some parts are easy to shrink. You can just buy smaller components off the shelf. For some components, it was quite the act to develop it ourselves, so it finally fits in there. And like if the borehole is 50 millimeters, your borehole probe cannot be bigger. There is just no way to cheat, and you even need some buffer because it won't go in there perfectly straight. So 2 millimeters of margin you'll need, and then it just has to fit in there.
amazing, amazing.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, for coming into the Tech Captains podcast today. We appreciate, as Gareth said, you are our first international guest. So thank you so much for making that step. As for the listeners, this podcast is recorded before we started publishing the series as the first few episodes. So thank you for trusting us.
Yeah, thanks, Michael, and good luck with your new probe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and good luck with the podcast. I'll be checking into the other episodes.
Thank you. Bye bye.